Welcome to Toronto Sports Rush. It's Monday, but let's be real honest, folks. The entire country of Canada has lost complete control of the calendar. It is either game day or it isn't. It is game 3 of the World Series tonight. The Toronto Blue Jays have traveled to Los Angeles. My name's Kyle, joined by Keegan Matheson. Keegan, big game tonight.
Big day. Can't believe we're here, man. It's amazing to think back to mid-season and early season. You know, I'm so in this day to day, and it takes up so much of my life that the last 2 or 3 months have been absorbed by a potential World Series run. But that's not how this was supposed to go, man. This is incredible. Every person I've ever met is messaging me about it. Most of them still trying to feel out if they can get tickets. No. But it's incredible to see, man, the numbers this is doing, like the TV numbers in Canada. Ridiculous. You'll never see anything like it. And what we're seeing from around radio, television, written stories. This is the biggest appetite I have ever seen for anything in this job, and amazing to be around, man. It's energizing. It's keeping me going a little bit, and I can use it right now.
Yeah, the Fox broadcast said it was the loudest stadium they'd ever heard, but what they don't hear outside the stadium, it's a very loud country right now, too. Yeah. To have a full nation behind you. The Dodgers can sort of experience that, but it's the nation of Japan and not the United States of America. Let's hop right into it right here. Max Scherzer's taking the hill against Glasnow tonight. How much does he have left in the tank?
He needs to have a lot, because last outing, I know that the drama of it and the cinematic value of it was pretty cool. Mm-hmm. He was not exactly pounding the strike zone. He was not at his best as a pitcher. He willed it out of himself, and it was impressive. It was a start I'll remember forever. I really will. But it's not like he struck out 12 guys over 5 shutout innings, okay? It was maybe how we remember it is a little bit aided by the memory of Max Scherzer yelling at Schneids and keeping himself in the game. So he's going to need more than that. He needs to pitch better than that today, because the Dodgers know Max Scherzer really well. The top of this lineup is really well suited to hit. And if he can max himself out and completely empty the tank over just 4 2/3 innings, that's enough. They don't need 6 out of the guy. They need quality, not quantity right now. I know that you want to keep bullpens fresh, but it's game 3 of the World Series. You're not trying to keep guys fresh for another 2 months. I don't care. So max it out as hard as he can throw, as hard as he can rip down on that slider. That's what they need from him, because last time was good, but there were some walks. There were some control issues.
Yeah, there were, but I mean, this is almost certainly the last start of his career, if for some reason he's rejuvenated in the offseason, and you have to feel as though just as a competitor that gives him an advantage on the mound. How is he going to pitch to this Dodgers team if he is to have success? And we talked about this with CJ Nitkowski on the post-game show, which Dan and I will be doing after every World Series game, of course. How much will the sun and the shadows between the batter and the pitcher allow Scherzer to pitch a style that could actually aid him in this game?
And he knows how that works. He's pitched here. He had a brief stint with the Dodgers, and he's pitched everywhere, of course. Max Scherzer knows how any of these little advantages work. I always believe that when the shadows are out, that's when you really try to change a guy's eye level. That's when you throw him the fastball up, the slider down. That's when you make him actually move his eyes physically up and down in the zone. Because just for that split second that a ball goes from the light into the shadow, you get another advantage. There's only a few little split seconds on the way to the plate. That gets you one more. So Scherzer will use every advantage in the world that he has. And for him to win, for him to survive, maybe is a better way to put it, against Ohtani, Betts, and Freeman in this lineup, he needs his fastball and he needs that slider. His slider is still what's keeping him alive in Major League Baseball, because he can still miss bats in the zone with that slider. He can get guys swinging over the top of that. And weak contact is not really going to be part of Max's game at this point, but he needs to keep the ball in the yard. And this is not the team I'd want to have to try to do that against, but he's got to avoid the big blow, man, because that's killed him this year.
Okay, so just very quickly, last thing on Scherzer, how long is his leash for this game? I can't imagine it's very long at all.
No, I don't think you'll see it happen like we did in Seattle. That was cool to watch. I get it. But I think that the first sign of danger here, John Schneider will be a little more aggressive, because the thought I keep coming back to in all of this is that Yoshinobu Yamamoto is waiting again in game 6. So mentally, you can't be defeatist about this, but mentally, you've got to be thinking, okay, that might be a loss. So you need to, it's even more urgent than ever right now to get these wins. I know it's the World Series. I know that sounds foolish. But with Yamamoto coming back around, who is the best pitcher in baseball right now, you need to be as aggressive as humanly possible in these games. And that probably means Louis Varland making his 20th appearance, whatever it is at this point. And it probably means that spot in the lineup where Ohtani comes back around. Certainly for the third time. We'll see about the second. They used Mason Fluharty, which I kind of liked. We'll see if Brendan Little's part of that. I'm not sure. But by the time the top of the lineup comes back around for a third time, I know that will upset the old school baseball purists. But this time, I agree with it. You cannot, I don't think, let Max face Ohtani a third time unless he's doing really, really well.
Yeah, fair enough. Okay, Bo Bichette is back in the lineup tonight. You know, what is that going to do for the locker room? Like, he's clearly hobbled to a degree, but he is gritting it out, and he's made some defensive plays. He has looked pretty good at the plate. He's seeing pitches. What does that do for this team, having him in the starting lineup as opposed to coming off the bench?
Way better offense at this point. That's what it's all about. Now, maybe a ball gets by Bo Bichette at second base, but over the next 3 games, I'm going to bet that Bo Bichette will get you one more base as a hitter than Isaiah Kiner-Falefa would. So it's going to balance out, I think. And on the bases, it will be tough. He's running right now at about an Alejandro Kirk speed. And I don't mean that as a dig. I mean that as just that's what his speed metrics are at right now with this knee injury. So you have another Kirk base runner in the lineup. That can work if he's hitting really well, like we see with Kirk all the time. But the Blue Jays need him to be part of this offense. They need a 2-for-4 day where he is forcing the opposing pitcher to throw 10 pitches in an at-bat. That's what they're going for with Bo. It's hard to be there already for him, given how much time he missed. But I still think that he's going to be a bit of a part-time player. Now, maybe in the 6th inning, he gets lifted for a pinch runner. And then maybe tomorrow he doesn't start again and comes in the 5th as a pinch hitter. It's kind of over these next 3 games in LA, I think he will play 2 of them total. I just think it will be kind of chopped up how that happens.
Keegan, I want you to touch on another subject, and I want you to give our audience a little bit of a history lesson in case they are not quite in the know. When George Springer steps to the plate in Los Angeles for these next few games, he is going to be booed, and he's going to be booed loud. Please tell us why.
Sign stealing scandal, baby. 2017 was when George Springer and his Astros beat the Dodgers in the World Series. George Springer was the MVP of that World Series. He had one of the best World Series we have ever seen, like an all-time series. It started here in LA, too. A couple big home runs, homered in the last couple games here in LA. I believe he had 5 home runs the last 6 games of that World Series. That solidified George Springer as who he is. That's why he got paid by the Blue Jays. And that was the year of the sign stealing scandal. So that year, the Astros beat the Yankees, the Red Sox, and the Dodgers. That's why he is booed so heavily in those exact 3 markets to this day, because people hold on to it. And I get that. If the Blue Jays were beat by a team that got caught up in a sign stealing scandal, you would hear the same stuff in Toronto. I get it. Now, man, the emails I have gotten about that story this morning, woo, boy. And I've told them all to beat it, just in more colorful language. But you're going to hear it for George Springer tonight, man, as much as you have ever heard it.
Yeah, and because he's been playing so well, he's just coming off one of his best seasons ever, and he's been a playoff dynamo right now. A lot of inside pitches are going to get some cheers too, I imagine, as well.
Oh, yeah.
The Jays have played particularly well on the West Coast in this playoffs. Is there something to that? What do you think?
Sometimes I'd even make the argument for a lot of players who have young kids and busy lives. Sometimes you just get away from that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm calmer on the West Coast. I feel like sometimes when I'm on the road, because when I wake up in the morning, I don't have to do anything. I go to the ballpark at 2, and until then, I'll go get a coffee, lay around, watch the Sports Center loop like 10 times. Maybe for guys that have young kids and busy lives, maybe it's a little simpler. You get to relax a bit. A lot of it's just coincidence, I think. But especially this time of year, everything is just baseball, baseball, baseball. None of these guys are worrying about the grocery list or getting their car in for an oil change or anything like that. It's pretty hyper-focused. And the Jays do a good job with the travel stuff, man. I got to say, they have a lot of families that travel with them. I don't know if any team in baseball has more kids between the age of like 2 and 8 than the Blue Jays do. Yeah, sometimes when you go down near the family room, it's a little scary. And I have to walk past that group between the Schneider press conference and the clubhouse. And I'm always so worried that this big dumb ogre like me is going to accidentally knock a kid over as they're running around and playing kickball. But, man, it's amazing to be around. The Jays really take care of the families on the road, too. So that could be a small part of it. But, yeah, simple. Only baseball here.
Last thing on the Blue Jays, Ohtani takes them out tomorrow night. Does that make tonight a must-win?
You better. Ohtani, knowing that he can just max out for the last time this year and that he's not saving anything for this careful plan that he's on, God, that's going to be special to watch. Like, I don't care what happens. 40 years from now, I'll probably be talking about watching Ohtani pitch in the World Series at Dodger Stadium. Like, that's kind of as cool as it gets right now. And with how he looked his last time out,
yeah.
My God, you had better get to Tyler Glasnow. Tyler Glasnow is a 100x times better matchup for the Blue Jays because you're essentially facing a reliever. And I don't mean that as a dig for his quality. I mean his style. He is going to pitch like a reliever. Maybe you can waste some pitches, work a few walks. A little more similar to Blake Snell in Game 1, who they handled really well.
All right, just a quick Toronto Maple Leafs update before we continue on with some NFL coverage. Brad Treliving, general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs, has confirmed that Joseph Woll is back skating at practice this morning. Strong likelihood that he's going to see a couple of rehab assignments with the Toronto Marlies before he joins a big club, but that's fantastic news for all of Maple Leafs Nation. If you want more Leafs coverage and information, we tape McGuire Monday today, and you'll see that on the channel later today. We really poured over the Leafs, and once again, we dug into them a little bit because right now they have that coming to some degree or another. Want to talk NFL with you, Keegan? You're a big NFL fan. Did you were able to catch much of it yesterday or not? How are you?
Little bit as I flew, and then perfect timing. I got here in time to watch the beautiful Green Bay Packers. Whoop.
Beautiful, eh?
Aaron Rodgers and the pitch.
Hey, listen.
And whatever the hell they were wearing. Why do teams keep on looking so stupid when
to
they
sell
lose?
Stuff, Keegan? To sell stuff to people.
Exactly. Talking about the City Connect jerseys, but it's man, caught a bit of it. Thank God the Packers finally broke out a little bit yesterday. It has been like this weird failure to launch season where every week the Packers look like they should be a hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
And that was like Jordan Love in prime time. Tucker Kraft, my favorite player in the NFL. My God, running through people. That was a good way to end the day.
It was a good way to end the day. That's a classic rivalry in the NFL. So that's a good game with which to get your footing underneath from you. And they look a lot like the team that started this season now. Jordan Love was electric, big comeback win. That's a statement game in his young career so far, I'd say. This NFL's a weird one, though. I guess the Chiefs are the best team again. We'll see tonight against the Commanders. Buffalo looked incredible again yesterday, absolutely flattening a Carolina team that had been pretty good. How much pressure is on someone like Josh Allen to deliver this time around and to deliver next week when they play the Chiefs?
That's going to be maybe the game of the year,
Yeah.
And what were the Bills? One play away last year. It's
truly.
So cruel. One play away, and that frames all of it. But, man, they look good. James Cook is somehow still an underrated running back at this point. And I think that fantasy football brain has really infiltrated all of us, me included. Because if you'd asked me about James Cook going into the season, I'd say, well, touchdown regression is probably going to be a thing. And that's fantasy football talk. I mean, look at his game yesterday. I know he's not as big as everyone else, but I think we talk about him like he's a 150-pound scat back. Like, James Cook had one hell of a game. I love watching him play. I know the offense could use a number one. I know they're going to be chasing that forever, whatever. But when you have Josh Allen and a running back like that, I think you're in a good spot, man. And one play away last year. It's not that they were the widely inferior team, just one play. And I trust Josh Allen to make one play eventually. But, man, next week is going to be a hell of a game, and I can't wait. That'll be my first week on the couch this offseason. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah, that'll be your favorite football Sunday because it's the first one where
Yeah.
it feels like a football Sunday. The Chiefs play the Commanders tonight. They're expected to roll through that game. There's a little tune-up, but sometimes you can overlook teams in that situation. But back to the Bills, you're right about James Cook. I'm pretty sure that he nearly tripled his over-under off of Bet Rivers yesterday in yardage. It was incredible. I think it was 216 he finished with. It was just – and Josh Allen's now second all-time on the quarterback touchdown list. And he's still fairly early in his career. I mean, the legs will fail him eventually, but he might end up number one on that list. I'm not exactly sure what the numbers are. But yeah, I'm really happy for you, Keegan, that you're going to be able to put your feet up on the couch and actually watch some football. And what does the first week after the World Series end look like for Keegan Matheson?
Nothing. Ideal. Now, if they win the World Series, there's going to be a parade. There's going to be and it's. I think of this in terms of how I describe all of this to my girlfriend. We live together, and she doesn't follow baseball. God bless her. Mm-hmm. And for weeks now, I've been saying, no, don't worry. This is probably it for the Jays. Don't worry. A couple days from now, I'll be done for the year. And then I come home a couple nights reeking of beer and champagne, and she's like, okay, it happened again? Did it? So by the time this finally happens, and I was explaining yesterday, well, if they win, I've got to cover parades and media junkets. We'll see. But that first football Sunday is like glowing in the distance for me. Bet the over on beers that day. My God. I hope there's a London or a Germany game that day so I can just put in a full 15 hours. It is going to be an all-timer. I will have to print out a spreadsheet with the number of bets I have on those games. It's just going to be the best day of my year, honestly.
It sounds like the ideal guy's vacation, Mo Keegan. And reminder to everyone watching the show right now, join us live after every postseason World Series game as myself, Dan O'Toole, and CJ Nitkowski break everything that we just saw down immediately following each game. Keegan, thank you so much for joining us here on Toronto Sports Rush. I'm sure we're going to be seeing you again at least once, maybe twice later this week.